So let's come up with a good hyperbole. I am so hungry. I could eat blank. Now, earlier we said a horse, but what's an even bigger hyperbole? Something bigger than a horse that you might say to show mom or dad, this is just how hungry I am. Violet?
Elephant.
I could eat an elephant. That's a good one. Because if we thought a horse was a big animal, an elephant is an even bigger one. So if there's no way that we were going to finish a whole horse, there's definitely no way we're going to finish a whole elephant. What's up, Jaylene? Are you ready for the next one, or you have a question?
I also had another one for number one.
Oh, okay. What did you think?
Uh, it was I could eat a whole entire whale.
I could eat a whale. That's another one. Woolly mammoth would work too. That would be another one you could use. What about sentence 2? The bus was late again. We waited blank. Again, we want hyperbole, so we don't want to say, I waited 5 minutes. We want to exaggerate, really exaggerate. What could we say? The bus was late again. We waited, Christopher? Well, not we waited Christopher, but.
We waited 3 months.
We waited 3 months. That's not bad. I like that. What's another hyperbole we could use? Could we go bigger than 3 months? Kylie?
We waited years.
We waited years. That's a good one. And don't forget, since we are finishing the sentences, we need to make sure we put periods at the end. So we could put, we waited 3 months, or we waited years. We could even say, I waited 1,000 years. That would work as well. Remember, hyperbole is all about exaggeration. You don't want it to be something that people might read and go, yeah, you know what? It sounds like maybe Kylie really did wait a couple years for the bus. Or maybe Christopher really did wait 3 months. When they read it, you want your reader to know there's no way that's possible, but I know how that feels. When you're sitting there and you're waiting, 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 there's nothing to do. What about the next one? The music was so loud that... What? What's an exaggeration we could... The music was so loud that... Bradley? Make sure you turn on your microphone first, Bradley.
It made me deaf.
It made me deaf. That could be an exaggeration. I mean, you really can hurt your ears if you have too much loud music or loud sounds around you. But in this case, that might not have been the case. It might have just been a very loud music that they were listening to wherever they were. Could have been like at a marching band practice or something like that. Those are usually pretty loud if you've never heard them. What's another one we could think of for it being loud? It was so loud that what? Alexa?
It was so loud that it sounded like a cow mooing.
It sounded like what?
A cow mooing.
Oh, okay, a cow mooing. Those can get pretty loud, but for hyperbole, you don't just want it to be a little bit of an exaggeration, you want it to be a huge exaggeration. So what's something really loud, Alexa? Something that you'd never normally hear. Something super, super loud. When you think of something louder than a cow mooing?
A parrot or a guitar?
Those can be loud too, but I want loud. Super, super loud. Kylie, can you help her out? What's something super, super loud? What could I use, Kylie? Something super loud.
Oh, I was gonna say something else.
Oh, okay. Well, help me out here, and then we'll hear your idea. Something super loud.
Um, a siren, like across on another street.
Okay, a siren. I would go even further than that. I'd say that maybe you could say something like it was so loud that it was like an explosion or like a volcano erupting. What was your idea, Kylie? You said you had a different idea. What was yours?
That like the music was so loud, the neighbors became deaf.
Oh, that even the neighbors were deaf. That's a good one. Okay, the snow was so deep that blank. What's an exaggeration I could make about the snow? Jadine, what do you think? The snow was so deep that what?
I sunk to the bottom.
That I sunk down to the bottom. So we make it sound like the snow is an ocean and you just step outside your door and you sink all the way down to the bottom. Chase, what do you think? The snow was so deep that what? It swallowed me. I like that. That's even personification too. So not only did you sink down to the bottom, but it felt like you stepped outside and the snow just had a mouth and it went and it swallowed you. Violet, what do you think?
It's deep as quicksand.
It's as deep as quicksand. That's a good one. Okay. Ooh, this next one. I hate spiders. Whenever I see one, what? Obviously this person here is scared or you know, doesn't like spiders, but what's something they could do that's an exaggeration? So I don't just want to say something like scream or jump or run away, because they might actually do that. But what's something that's an exaggeration? Something that they wouldn't really do, but it feels like it. Alexa?
They can jump to the roof.
They jump to the roof. I've seen people jump pretty high. I don't think I've ever seen anyone get so scared that they jump up and get onto the roof. So that would be a good one. I jump to the roof. What's another one? Something else I could say. When I hate spiders. Whenever I see one, Messiah, how could I end that? How could I end that sentence? Something, an exaggeration of something someone might do. I scream at the top of my lungs. If they're really scared of spiders, they could actually do that, right? They actually might see one and scream really loud. So I need something that it's an exaggeration, something that there's no way that that really happens. Again, hyperbole is all about making it, saying something unbelievable that you know that this person is exaggerating. So saying that you scream at the top of your lungs, some people get scared and they scream really loud. But I want something that if they told me that, you go, no way. Like you're lying. I know that you're exaggerating. Kylie?
I jumped out the door. Through the door, I meant.
That one I think is kind of like the top of my lungs one. You could do that, but I get what your point. Because if you're not by the door, then yeah. Like if you're on the other side of the house, it's very unbelievable that you jump all the way through the door. But I like that you okay. So you're talking about they have to leave, right? They just leave the room. They jump out the door. What's another way to say that? A way to say that they leave, but not just when I see a spider, I leave. Because that sounds normal. That sounds regular. I want to exaggerate it. Not just leave, but they do what? Jaylene? What's an exaggeration I could make for them leaving?
I left my house for a whole entire year.
That's not a bad one at all. Whenever I see one, I have to leave my house for a year. So are they really going to have to go live somewhere else for a whole year every time they see a spider? No, probably not. The next one. It was so cold that blank. Again, I want to exaggerate. So I don't just want to say it was so cold that I could see my breath, or it was so cold that I put on a jacket, or that I wore gloves. I want to exaggerate. Jadine, help me finish that. It is so cold, or it was so cold that what?
I froze into an ice cube for hours.
I like it. I froze into an ice cube for hours. That is a good one. That I froze into an ice cube for hours. I like the chewing with ice cube. Honestly, I would have gone for popsicle. But ice cube is another good one. They're frozen completely up. Like they just walked outside and went, ah! And they were stuck. And again, we know that it doesn't get anywhere near cold enough for that to happen, where you're going to walk outside and become an ice cube. But sometimes, especially if you walk outside and you don't bring a jacket with you right away, it might feel that way. You get outside and, oh my gosh, it's the coldest thing you've ever felt. And you need to run back inside and get that jacket. Otherwise, you feel like you might end up as an ice cube. Okay, number 7. His ears were so big, they blank. What could we say? I think we want to exaggerate. We don't just want to say that his ears were big. We want to exaggerate. Again, we want to exaggerate so much that our reader knows there's no way his ears were that big. Okay, I know that you're exaggerating. I know you're lying. What could we say? Jada. His ears were so big they what? His ears were so big they looked as big as the world. That's a good one. Because again, if your ears were as big as the world, could you really walk around with an ear that big? Even one ear that big? No, your head would be stuck on the ground. You wouldn't be able to move it. What's another one? His ears were so big they what? Bradley? What could we say? His ears were so big they what?
They were bigger than the galaxy.
That's a good one. That's a good exaggeration. They were bigger than the galaxy. So never mind the world, but bigger and bigger and bigger for the whole galaxy. Jaylene, what do you think? An exaggeration for big ears.
His ears were big. They were so big. They were super heavy. They were heavier than a huge boulder.
His ears were so big, they were as heavy as a boulder. That's a good another one. Because if your ears really were that heavy, you wouldn't be able to pick your head up. Your head would be on the ground with your ears hanging there. My number 8. That man is so big, he blank. So you see someone walking down the street or walking down the hall, and they are tall. They're just taller than tall. What would you say? That man is so big, he what? Noah?
Can't touch the moon.
He can touch the moon. That's a good one. So not even the ceiling. You're saying that if he stands up and he just reaches his hand up, that he can go past the ceiling, past the sky, and touch the moon. I like that one. He can touch the moon. What's another exaggeration we could use to show how tall that person is? Alexa?
That man is so big he can touch skyscraper.
He can touch the top of a skyscraper. Hey, that would be a good thing to add to that moon one, Messiah. He can grab the moon and pull it down. So not even just that he can touch it like with his finger, but he's so tall that he can actually reach his hand around it and pull it down. And again, that's a great hyperbole because there's no way that no matter how tall they are, they'd really be able to do that. So if you read this in a book, or if someone else read this in a story, they would go, okay, I know that that's exaggerating, but it lets you understand, or it helps you to picture in your head. This is not just someone who's a little bit tall. This is someone who's really, really tall. Okay. The last part on this first page, they want us to use one of our hyperboles in a paragraph. So they want us to write a paragraph that's 4 sentences. And they want us to pick one hyperbole to talk about. Let's see. We have 8 different options to choose from. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a number at random. Okay, I have here on my phone a little app that will let me roll a dice. So I'm going to roll a dice that has 8 sides on it. And whatever number we come up with is the one we're going to use to write our paragraph. So let's see. Okay, I came up with the number 3. The number 3 was the music was so loud that it made me deaf. Okay, so we're going to write a paragraph about something that was really, really loud. Okay, first of all, where might you hear loud music at? Where might there be really loud music? Jaylene?
A rock band?
Okay, maybe a rock band. You're listening to a band play. Okay, so you can put I was listening to a rock band play. And then we can use our hyperbole. The music was so loud that it made me deaf. What happened, Bradley? What's going on? Well, make sure you turn on your microphone first, Bradley, because right now you're talking, but I can't hear you because your microphone is off.
Somehow one of the spaces on my computer went away, and I can't type in it, and I can't type in.
Let me fix it for you.
My number.
Okay, there we go. Should be fixed. Okay. So a paragraph is 4 sentences. I've got 2. What are some more hyperbole, some more exaggerations I could make about how loud the music was? I was listening to a rock band play. The music was so loud it made me deaf. What else could we say? Another hyperbole about how loud it was. What else might happen if the music is really loud, or if there's a lot of loud sounds? You said that it might damage our hearing, we could go deaf, but what else? What's something else that might happen if there's really loud sound? What else could happen? Has anyone ever seen any of those movies? Oh, let's see. Jada, you have an idea? What else could happen? I was listening to a rock band play. The music was so loud it made me deaf. And then what, Jada? How could we continue that paragraph? Ooh, that is a good one. The music was so loud it made me deaf. My ears exploded. I'm going to put an exclamation mark at the end of that one. And again, if you were reading this in a story, you're going to think to yourself, there's no way that your ears just went because the music was so loud. But you're trying to show that, yeah, I couldn't hear anything. The music was so loud it made me deaf. My ears exploded. I need one more sentence about how loud it was when you were listening to this rock band play. Alexa?
My ears started bleeding.
Okay, my ears started bleeding. Okay, I like that. No, I saw you had your hand up. Did you have the same idea or a different idea?
Different.
Okay, what was your idea?
Everybody ears exploded.
Oh, okay, so instead of just my ears exploded, what if we put everybody's ears exploded? Okay. Everyone's ears exploded, and then Alexa said we could add my ears were bleeding. Now, again, that is something that could happen if you damage your hearing enough that your ears might bleed, but we want to exaggerate, something that couldn't ever happen. So Alexa, what if we say that your ears were bleeding for a long time? What's a long time that we could put that's a big exaggeration? My ears were bleeding for what?
Years.
For years. So our reader knows, okay, there's no way that happened. You're just exaggerating now. You're making it seem worse than it is. I like that paragraph though. I was listening to a rock band play. The music was so loud it made me deaf. Everyone's ears exploded. My ears were bleeding for years. Again, if you read that in a book, in a story, you would never think, yeah, that all sounds like that really happened. Yeah, your ears just exploded. You would think to yourself, okay, calm down, it wasn't that loud. But you understand that the reader, the author is trying to tell you just how loud it was at this concert. I'm going to leave my page up here so that you can kind of see it. But, whoa, a little bit too much. But once you finish with this first page, I want you to go to page 2. Okay? Page 2 gives us a sentence. And those sentences on page 2 are, I guess, very normal, very boring sentences. Like, my bag was very heavy. They want you to change that sentence and use hyperbole to make it better. So don't just say my bag was very heavy. Come up with hyperbole to show your reader how heavy that bag was. Okay? We've got 7 sentences to do that with. So finish page number 1, and then on page number 2, think of some hyperboles on your own that would explain the sentences they gave us. The boring regular sentences, you're going to make them into hyperboles. Make them exaggerations.